Greetings. Doing a little research, I found out I have 5 channels on YouTube. One with close to 3,000 subscribers, and then there's 4 others, and I can't get into any of them, so I'm starting over, and I'm not doing very well as far as building a subscriber base, but I'm going on anyway, because it's good just to feel like I have some value these days and can still talk. I can't walk, but I can talk. I wanted to talk a little bit about the early days in talk radio. I started out doing talk shows in Lancaster, California. That was the first station I worked at. It was KBVM. Coincidental, here in the Portland area, the Catholic radio station has the call letters now, KBVM. When I was at KBVM, Lee Marvin was one of the owners, and believe me, there are some stories that come from KBVM, which I want to share with you too, but not today. There's an interesting story about Jack Hurd. There's many. Jack was my mentor in talk radio. Jack believed that humor was very important and sort of side talking. He did a lot of that, and I picked that all up from Jack Hurd. Jack had a unique interview style, and to give an example of the kind of interviews Jack did, there was one terrifying interview that sticks in my mind. One that, outside the studio looking through the glass, listening to the radio monitor, caused me to leave the studio to get a breath because I laughed to where I almost fell on the floor. Now, whether I can paint this picture with words for you, you have to picture this day. Jack is interviewing George Wallace's campaign manager, coming all the way from, I think, Arkansas. Isn't that where Wallace was? Anyway, this guy was a Southern gentleman, looking a lot like Colonel Sanders, but he had a black suit and a big white hat, and his cigar in his mouth the size of a rolling pin. And he was sitting back, leaning back, his big brimmed hat on his head. And Jack went into his in-depth interview. He said, Mr. Wallace, what kind of car does he drive? And I said, Governor Wallace drives an American car. It is a Chevrolet. Jack says, what color is the car? Man looks a little confused. He says, the car is green with a white top. It's sort of a metal convertible car. No, it's not a convertible. It looks like a convertible from a distance. Jack says, well, that's good. Does he do a lot of driving in the car? Governor Wallace drives the car to the store. Governor Wallace drives the car to campaign events. Jack says, well, that's interesting. I had some more questions, if you don't mind. I understand that Mr. Wallace is a heterosexual. At that point, this guy, you had to see this. This guy's hat lifts off his head. He drops his cigar, and he says, my God, no! And Jack just sat there looking at him. Maybe 30 seconds passed. And then the man said, oh, no, yeah, he is. He really is. It's not anything else. That's what he is. An American heterosexual man. Now, that was pretty much the end of the interview, but it was typical Jack Hurd, terrifying the guest and making the audience laugh. People should be happy when they listen to the radio. If you will excuse me.